So my silver stacking journey starts, I would say, when I was really young. I was always into history. I loved reading about the ancient Egyptians, the Romans, the Greeks, stuff like that. And I was always fascinated by this idea of currency and this idea of gold is like the stored value. So that's kind of where it all started. Started coin collecting as well as a kid. Just the idea of old quarters, pennies, stuff like that. I always thought something about it being tangible and metal. I thought it was really cool. And that led me to get into the idea of scrapping metal. And I remember I would go out with friends and we would gather all the old extension cords, copper wires, electronics, aluminum cans. We would actually go out on pickup day of trash cans and we would go out, sift through the garbage cans and find aluminum soda cans, because I was telling them, I was like, this is worth money, like 5 cents a can. This is like metal prices and stuff like that. I remember, I think copper back then was $3 a pound. I think it's at $6 now. So this was probably like 2010, 2012, something like that. And so I started getting more information and learning more about like precious metals, and I started getting into like gold and silver and this idea of, this stuff is worth a lot. And I always was into stocks as a kid, buying stocks with spare money, stuff like that. I have a very investment heavy family, and so I learned a lot of that at a young age. And so I remember, I think it was around 2019, really getting back into this idea of silver. And I would watch all these silver stacking YouTubers, and I'll explain more what that is maybe in another video. But I think it was 2019. I was like, I want to buy some silver. And so I went to eBay and I bought 2 ounces of silver. I think it was $19 an ounce. And these are the 2 bars that I started with. One is a Atmex and one is a Sunshine Mint. And so I have 2 ounces of silver here. These were the first 2 that I bought. I thought they were fake back then because of how cheap silver was. I remember as a young 19-year-old or 18-year-old or however old I was, it might have even been like 2016. Maybe I was like 16. I don't know. I just remember being like, this seems really cheap for like silver. Silver should be like valuable, right? And so I remember looking at the graphing of silver prices over the past 10, 20 years. And I remember it being just very like flatline. Like it was very much stuck at around $20 an ounce. Like there wasn't much up and down movement. And from an investor's standpoint, me looking at that, I remember just being like, I don't understand this. I don't understand why people are putting so much money into this if there's no upside. Again, this is a whole nother conversation, but that is not the idea of stacking silver. And I understand that now. So that was 2019, bought those 2 ounces and I was like, okay, cool, whatever, moved on with my life. I remember I got some silver eagles as a Christmas gift from some grandparents. They were giving, like just handing it down. So again, I realized like, okay, I got to save this. This is going to be worth something. And then I think it was 2023, I bought 20 silver eagles on eBay for $30 an ounce. I gave 7 of them to my cousin as a gift because I knew he couldn't spend it. And then the rest I kept. And so I'm at like, that was really when the stacking like seriously started. Like this was very much like, I just wanted to do it. So then at that point, I got maybe like 20 ounces of physical silver. Once again, this is my small stacking story. So that was that. And then fast forward to last year, 2025, around, I think it was like in November, I must have saw a YouTube video where someone mentioned silver price. And I think they had mentioned it was at like $50 or $60. And I remember thinking back to 2019 era or whenever it was. And I was like, man, that's gone up a lot. I remember this was like $20 forever. And I know a lot of silver people definitely felt that in that time frame. And so I looked into it. I started watching it. It kept going up. I started reading articles, started like reading different things that people were putting out and watching YouTube videos and stuff like that and understanding what is going on with silver. And then the investment side of me really started to pique my interest because of the gains that it was getting and the traction that it was getting. And, everyone was saying it was going to go so much higher, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's when it was December of 2025. I went to my local coin shop and I bought a bunch of physical silver. at anywhere from $64 to $70 an ounce, depending on the premium, depending on what it was. A lot of it was rounds, bullion, and this is actually one of the things that I bought. Then this is a 5-ounce bar. I just think this one's really cool. So I've got more than just the 7 ounces that I'm showing you, but I don't want to be carrying this around in my pocket. But for context, this was around $300. This is worth over $500 now in less than a month. And for those that don't know, silver is now at around $103. It's an all-time high. And I have a prediction that I made on January 15th, 2026, that by February 15th, 2026, I think it's going to go to 120 an ounce. That's my prediction. But I just wanted to share, this is my stacking story. This is a very small stacking story. I understand it. I mean, I have less than a few hundred ounces of physical silver. I would like to buy more, but however, Washington State did impose this 10% sales tax law. So anytime I'm out of state, I will probably continue to dollar cost average and buy more silver when I can. But obviously right now in the state, it just doesn't make sense. It's unfortunate too, because the local coin shop that I went to was a super knowledgeable guy, super down to earth, super reasonable and fair. That was always a concern I had too, is that these coin shops will be slimy, dirtbags that just take advantage of you. But super knowledgeable, very, very reputable coin shop that actually ended up closing down because of these sales tax implications. So it's very unfortunate here in Washington, but I just wanted to share my stacking story. I mean, this is kind of honestly the beginning of it. I think the beginning would really be considered when I bought those Silver Eagles. Back then that was, I think, about 30 of them, because it was like $900. Like, that was a big investment at the time, for something that I wanted to just diversify. And I was like, you know what, $900, that's not that much money in the grand scheme of things, and it's going to hold its value and or go up. So it's a win-win in my opinion. And so, yeah, that's where I'm at. The first time I bought silver, I was at, I think, $19 an ounce. I'm curious to see what you guys are at. What is the first time you bought silver? What was the price, and what was it that you bought? Was it coins? Was it rounds? Was it bullion? Very curious to hear your thoughts. But again, this YouTube channel, I just want to do this rant about things that I've been thinking about, things that I've been going through. And I hope some of you guys can maybe get some knowledge from this. I'm not a financial advisor, but I am very bullish on silver. And yeah, I'm curious to have more chats like this, talk about projects and stuff like this. But I don't want this to be a one channel or one video style channel where it's just this or just that. It's going to be a lot of these videos of me walking around talking, but then there's also going to be videos of me machining parts and making stuff and talking about business and talking about future businesses and promoting stuff. So that's just what this is going to be. So welcome to Peyton's YouTube channel, because this is who I am and I love it and I love talking about this stuff. So yeah, that is my stacking story. Drop some comments. All right, guys.